I had a moment of reflection and confusion, and I do not know what or whom made me to say yes. And from that yes, my life changed. So the studies were preparation for priesthood, and then it was ordinations, something that was guided by, I believe, by God, who wanted me to be a priest. And then he asked me if I want to join a congregation. A congregation that is not famous. The name of the congregation to which I belong is Congregation of Saint Joseph, or familiarly called Josephites of Saint Leonard Murialdo. And I'm happy to belong to this religious congregation. And then after my training, after doing my novitiate, I did my vows, and then my final profession, and then I'm living inside this congregation. And the congregation founded by a diocesan priest more than 100 years ago. The name of the priest is Saint Leonard Murialdo. He's not as famous as Saint John Bosco, but the two priests were living at the same time in the same town, the same place, and they had the same inspiration to dedicate themselves to the sake of young boys, especially those who are most on need. So I'm happy to be a religious, happy to be a priest, and I'm happy to be, as usually I am called, missionary. So I left my country, and here I am in Africa.
Okay, here is a man who had the desire to become a doctor or a teacher, and now you end up being a Catholic priest. Can you recall those days when this inspiration came to you? Whom do you first approach?
Mm-hmm. It is nice. I like the question because I like to provoke young boys. Strange but true, I had a desire to become a priest when I was in my last year of the primary school. Yeah, you call it G6? No,
The junior secondary school?
No, the primary.
Oh yes, we call it the lower basic school here in the Gambia.
Yeah, G6.
Lower basic school.
Okay, yes. I was just ending my final year of primary education, and a priest came asking if I would like to be a priest. I never thought in my life, and at that time I was 12 years old. Can you imagine that a boy who never thought to be a priest, 12 years old, who liked to play, to disturb the mother, to learn a bit, but not too much from school, stay with friends and companions, who suddenly face this strange, uncommon question. Do you want to be a priest? And I said, yes. Now, who gave me that inspiration? Let me say it was from God, not from me, because
Sure.
at that time I was not having idea to become a priest.
Were your parents surprised when you told them that you want to become a priest?
Yes, simply because they were planning on my elder brother. He was nice, he was prayerful, he was always going to church, so they were expecting him to come to them and say, I would like to enter seminary. They were not thinking of myself, whose attitude was completely different.
Then the call eventually comes to you.
Oh, yes. And bit by bit, what I have to do it is to keep it and to nurture it, because tiredness made me tempted to leave, or the not very successful academic performance a bit discouraged me, or the difficulties while living together, far from the house, far from mom, whom I like, far from my planning, and somehow start to think of my life in a different way. That made me to think over it, fortunately some wise people advised me. My father was always saying, you want to go? Go. You want to come back? Come back. And my mother was just keeping quiet, wondering what will happen to her son.
Maybe she was thinking maybe you will not end of becoming, maybe you will not be able to complete the mission to become a priest.
Yes.
And can you remember the year that you were ordained a Catholic priest?
Oh yes, it was March 1980. That means 33 years ago. And we were a group of 12. And yes, it was a nice day. The best moment which I remember is when I was laid down on the floor, just to say, I do not know what will happen now that I am a priest. And the moment in which many hands laid on my head. I was just feeling now I belong to God. Let him do what he wants, without knowing that one day I may have come to the Gambia.
That's great. 33 years after your ordination, how do you find the priesthood?
Different experiences. The first experience was nice. I was attached to a parish priest, and I had a nice experience of parish activity. I was in charge of the youth activity, of the catechism, on the recreational groups activity, especially with youth. That is my favorite apostolate, being a Josephite. My vocation as Josephite is for youth. So I was mingling with the CYO, with Scouts, with other association of young boys. It was a nice experience, in a good term with the parish and the other priests, with the parishioners, families. And then life changed a bit. The difficulties of misunderstanding of among priests with bishop came with some difficulties that I had to bear and try to overcome with a bit of patience, with sincerity. Till suddenly the request to go to Africa. Even that one caught me by surprise. I never thought to leave my country to go elsewhere, and especially from Africa. So when my superior came and asked me, what if I will ask you to go to Sierra Leone? And I said, oh, Sierra Leone, where is it, Sierra Leone? And then he told me, Africa. And I asked him, give me a bit of time to think over it. Because if I say yes, I do not want to come back. I want to go there and remain there. This was 20 years ago. So I left my country 20 years ago, and I went to Sierra Leone.
And how do you find it?
Thank you, Matthew Mendy, and our dear visitor, Father Luigi Ricci from Italy. Father's going on to Guinea-Bissau. We hope he'll enjoy a good, successful, happy visit there. We hope he's happy with us here in the Gambia. We're used to visitors. We love them. Now, more music. Would you like some more? We'll go to a different church this time. In a way, it's a sister church, because St. Charles Ruanga, we've just heard their choir, that's named after a Ugandan saint of the 19th century who died for Christ. Now we're going over to the sister church. That is St. Kizito. And St. Kizito is also a Ugandan saint. And also we're going to have some carols. The choir master there, I'm told, is Edward, what is it? Augustus?
Jew.
Augustus or Augustine?
Augustine Jew.
Thank you, Edward. It's Augustine Joof. Let's hear what he and his choir are going to produce for us.